Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2 Super Mini Mail Call. I'm opening packages here that I got back in May, and it's currently July, so sorry about that. Oh, let me see who this is from. This one's from Paul in Kingston, New Hampshire. Hi to all my viewers in New Hampshire. Let's see what this is. Looks like a kit of some kind. Ah, yes, I remember what this is. This is for the SWTPC. Here's the kit for the Newtech Model 68 music board Rev B. It's fairly straightforward to assemble, with all the included parts labeled on both the PCB as well as the components themselves. During assembly, you have a few things to keep in mind. Resistor, ladders, blah, blah, blah. I've sent high-resolution photos of the fully assembled board to your email as a guide, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Take care, Paul. Right, so what this is, Southwest Technical Products Corporation, that was the 1975 machine I have that is a 6800 processor in there. That's the precursor to the 6502. And well, it turns out, wow, this is an amazing kit, wow. As it turns out, there was a soundboard for this at some point. Now, I don't remember all the specifics, but I think Paul said that this was based off the sound circuitry in the TRS-80 Coco, the color computer. Also a 6809 based system. Similar architecture, of course, to the 6800 and the Southwest Technical Products Corporation machine. Now, the thing about the Coco is it has a 6-bit DAC, digital analog converter. It uses a resistor ladder network, and it's connected to one of the VIA chips, which is like a 6522, I think is what it is in there. And what software can do is, using some really quick computation and some lookup tables, is it can create multi-channel audio that actually has proper sine waves and sounds really good. Not just the typical square wave stuff that you'd get with like a beep speaker. Now, if you watched my Coco 1 repair video I recently did, I actually tested out a piece of software that played like some Christmas music, and it sounded really nice. 2 channels, it sounded like it was sine wave based, so it was probably using that resistor ladder network to work. Oh, and just a small interruption here while editing. Back when I was working on the Coco 1, Paul was actually helping me with that because he's got a lot of knowledge about the TRS-80 Coco 1 as well, and he created an 8-bit dance party intro with music for me using these same music routines that are used on this sound card here for the Southwest Technical Products PC. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't get time to show it in the video, but I will next time I work on the Coco. Taking a look at the PCB here, there's the copyright date from Paul, and then the original board design is from 1977. The Coco came out, I think, in 1979, so clearly the design of this was not copied from the Coco. But the Coco did have that 6-bit DAC, so maybe some of the routines that were from that could have been adapted to work on this board, the original 77 design. So Paul has included the ICs here for it, and you can see that there's a couple 74LS logic chips and an LM something or other that's probably like an op amp or whatever. And then all the other parts are nicely laid out. The board is relatively easy to assemble, and because it's for the 6800 PC, has these Molex connectors, and this is a smaller card with 30-pin connector, so it goes into the I/O mapped slots in the back of the computer, which when I say I/O mapped, each slot is addressed by specific memory locations, and that's exactly like on the Apple II. Unlike the ISA bus on the PC, where slots don't matter. You can put cards into any slot and they work based on jumpers on the card. But on the Apple II, like the disk controller, you typically put it in slot 6. If you move it to slot 5, then you have to talk to that card with a different command, PR number 5. And that's because it is all memory address mapped to each slot. That's exactly how this machine works. Now, I am not going to build this up right now because the 6800 PC is put away and I can't really do testing anyways, but I will link to a video that Paul put online of this card operating, and it's pretty amazing to hear it work. It sounds really good for a 1977 machine.
And we'll bring in the amplified sound.
And keep in mind, of course, this type of hardware is like bit-banged audio, you want to call it. It requires the CPU to do all the work. So generally, you're not going to be using this kind of sound in a game while other things are happening. The computer pretty much has to sit there and play the music full time. And that's exactly like the Coco 1 machine as well. It's not like it well, typically you can't multitask and have that really nice sounding audio at the same time. It pauses, it plays the music, maybe there's enough time for you to like press a key to like stop the music, stuff like that. I think at this point from Super Mini Mail Calls, I have quite a few kits and stuff that I need to build up. So yeah, this is gonna go into the little pile of other things to build. I probably have 5 or 6 other kits that I need to put together at the minimum. I would like to definitely build up some of those kits. It's just, yeah, I don't always have the time just due to time constraints of making the channel and everything. So thank you very much, Paul, for sending this in. And as I said, I will link to the video of this operating, and I definitely will show this at a future time. I love the 6800 PC. I want to explore it more, and having some sound output from it will be pretty amazing. Oh, one caveat, by the way, about this. I'm pretty sure because the code that everyone is using to drive this card came from the TRC-80 Coco, it's 6809 optimized code. And I think Paul told me in the email that there's currently no 6800 code out there to drive this properly. So I think he said he was going to try to adapt it for me, and he may have already done that and I might have missed his email. And incidentally, the way this works could work on other machines like the Apple II as well. It could be a good way to bit bang some audio on the Apple II. And I think there are already PET solutions that work very much like this. It uses the user port. And actually, you know, the funny thing is about this is using that DAC resistor ladder. Well, you could use a simple parallel DAC. It's like a little IC that just takes the bits in and I think a clock signal, and then it outputs an analog signal, and it eliminates the need for all those resistors that these early solutions like this used. Anyhow, thank you very much, Paul, for sending in the sound card for the 6800 PC. This will be seen on the channel at a future time. All right, let's move on to the next package. It was actually just sitting up here on the laptop. This is from the UK. It doesn't have a name on the outside, but it was sent in around the same time as the sound card from Paul. So I apologize to whoever sent this. Yeah, it's been in my inbox for quite a while. All right, this comes from Rich in Portsmouth in the UK. Hi, Adrian. I sent you some cleaning brushes a while back, which I have seen you're getting some good use of. When I ordered these, I got myself a set too, and I had a white RS one. That's RS Electronics, a big UK distributor of electronics from back in the day. I mean, they're still around today, right? Anyways, I had a white RS one that's older than time and finally gave out, and I'd used up all the tips when I ordered these. When these arrived and I went to use them, I was a little put out by the quality, and although they're handy, they're not as good as the one I had. So I went back to RS and ordered a replacement for my original. Another is enclosed. The glass tip is much more dense, which makes stripping off the etch-resistant and more stubborn gunk much easier. I've been doing more resurrection type stuff on my channel, RTech Lab, and sending my viewers over to you. I'm happy doing repairs and deep dive troubleshooting, but not on camera. I'm still finding my feet, but watching yours is fueling my creative process. Keep up the good work. No candy as I'm waiting on food parcel from Alberta, as I'm a fellow Canadian in exile. Take care, Rich. All right, so this is the fiberglass brush. So let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, okay. All right, so yeah, these are really, really good. You can polish corroded contacts, like for instance on a card edge connector. You have to be careful though, because it can actually strip the gold right off, but also can take the solder mask off a PCB around corrosion, stuff like that, especially useful for battery leakage and stuff like that. Now this one, let's see. So yes, that's the tip there. You turn the end and it kind of raises up. It's very, very stiff. I think the kind that Rich had that he was unhappy with, and I think the ones that Rich was complaining about are actually this type here. You can get these from China. They're very inexpensive. It looks very, very similar, but it's not really the same. And I think the problem is, notice how flexible the bristles are? So I'm just gonna rub a little bit on here, and like it didn't even do anything. I'll try this one here. And yeah, it's much, much stiffer. Now that's an anodized coating, so that's really not coming off. But yeah, this isn't so flexible, so this will do a much better job at cleaning the etching off PCBs. Now this one here, this was sent in by one of my viewers, and this one came from, I think these are German. And so it came with a whole bunch of extra tips here, and then this is the actual pen thing here. And I wonder if this is the same as the RS one. No, it looks different again. But it works really, really well. I recently did a motherboard repair on the main channel, and I used this to kind of really scrub the heck out of the motherboard. and it completely scratched off all that solder mask so I could see the copper underneath, and it worked great. And check out all these replacement tips. And there is the card that this came in. So if you recognize the brand and you can buy that locally, great. I haven't seen this particular brand or this type here in the US, but I have to say I haven't really looked either. And there's the brand there, Rona, ro-na.de. These are awesome. I am so stoked to have this, especially with all these replacement tips. So I know, sorry, Rich, I've diverged from what you sent in, but I am going to keep your good brush here in with this one, because this feels really good. This one I got from AliExpress or whatever, not good. I really don't recommend this one. In fact, to be honest, I'm going to throw away this AliExpress one because it's just completely useless. And I'm wondering, how do you change the tips? Look, the tips look very similar actually to these tips. Look at that. So you know what? These tips might actually work in here. So maybe I shouldn't throw it away. I'll just, oh no, the little brass part here looks longer than it does on these. So anyways, I'm just gonna toss this whole thing out. It doesn't work that well. So yeah, thank you very much, Rich, for sending in one of these fiberglass pens. And if you are looking for one and you don't live in a place where you can get this good German brand, well, check out RS Electronics out of the UK. They seem to have good ones as well. While I open up packages here, it's a Sunday night and I'm enjoying myself an adult beverage here. There's a little bit of whiskey inside some cherry Diet Pepsi or cherry Pepsi Zero. The reason why it's not in a normal glass is because I'm kind of tired of my drinks with the ice always melting. And if I'm doing mail call, I sort of am not drinking that much out of the cup and I end up getting the ice just melted in, condensation all over the desk. These mere insulated cups here are not the best, but they certainly keep your drink from getting condensation on the outside. And of course, it's got a lid here, so in case you bump it, it's not going to spill. Oh, look, I just spilled some. It came out of the little opening for you to drink out of. But yeah, I like these, not to mention, if you are drinking with ice, it's not gonna get stuck in your lips. I mean, I know, this is just silliness, right? But yeah, it's good. Now I just have to clean up the mess I made. All right, so the next package is this right here. This is from Chris in Cleveland, Tennessee. I have this upside down as usual to keep the private information private. All right, we got some goodies in here. So I'm just gonna unload the whole box. All right, we have a letter here. Greetings, Adrian. Here is the genuine Kapton tape we discussed on Patreon. I was planning to ship it yesterday after the bi-monthly ham club meeting, but I saw an item on our free table that I thought you'd find a use for. It's a bit heavy, so let you guess what it is. It's obviously in this box here. There's also a couple of T1 wicks and an RF board out of a Motorola Radius/Max Track for you to practice soldering with. The RF board has a large ground plane and a lot of components with comparable thermal mass to give you a chance to learn the ins and outs of desoldering alloy from a few months ago. Unfortunately, the T1 wicks are the ones that use discrete logic of the Xilinx CPLDs, blah, blah, blah. They should at least be good for SMT rework though. This is practice, of course. Since I had to use UPS medium box, there was some empty space, so I needed packing material. So I know you don't care for packing peanuts, so I used some old catalogs and textbooks instead. I hope you find them amusing. Sorry for not sending some of my current QTH's notable products, Duracell batteries, M&Ms, and far right Twix, but figured those are available anywhere. Yeah, they are indeed. And that's it. It says, thanks and keep up the good work. Chris, just Chris. Thank you, Chris. So yeah, this box here, whatever's in here, it feels very heavy. I'm gonna guess that's an isolation transformer, which of course is very useful. If that was on the free table. You know, I have had lots of friends have really good luck finding stuff on the free table or at ham swap meets. And I gotta say, I haven't been to one before here in Portland. And there must be one at least once a year or something like that. I just haven't done any research to figure out where they are. Okay, so we got a power cord. Oh, wait a second. I can tell what this is even before I take it out of the box. This is a Commodore 64 death brick, the power brick that kills the computers. There it is. These things are the ones you do not want to use. Okay, so what do we have here? We have the first book, FCC License Preparation, No Code Plus. So this is for getting your technician class ham license, and by no code, it means you don't need Morse code. The FCC dropped that requirement a good number of years ago. And the funny thing is, I was just cleaning out some books upstairs in my office, and I found my original no code book. It wasn't this exact one, it was from a different company. And here in Portland, we have like free lending libraries all around the city. They're like in people's front yards. So it's a little book shelter really. And you know, you just go drop books in there and take a book and read a book, put it back, or put a different book in there. Well, I stuck my no code stuff because it's still valid. I think it's still valid in there for someone who wants to maybe get their ham license. All right, and then next up we have a ham radio catalog with all sorts of ham gear and radios, Yaesu, Elenco, ICOM stuff, headsets, amplifiers, antennas. I mean, there's an entire world of ham radio that is still going strong. It's nothing like it was in the 70s or the 80s, but you know, mobile phones and voice over IP and internet and stuff has sort of taken away a lot of the people who were into this, not to mention age has taken those people away. Like they're just not with us anymore. But I have a Yaesu handheld VX7R, if I recall, that's the model number. And I definitely bought it out of one of these catalogs like way back in the day, and a whip antenna that's on it and stuff like that. So yeah, very cool. When is this from? Looks pretty recent. Oh, right here, 2020. All right, and here's another preparation book for the novice voice class. Yes, from 1990. Cool. Oh, look, someone has marked the answers in here as well. Oh, look at the terminal. Look at this. You receive an RTTY CQ call at 45 bauds. At which speed should you respond? 22.5 baud, 45 baud, 90 baud, or any speed? Well, you got the CQ at 45, so you have to respond at 45 baud. Answer B. Operating a TTY station with your home computer is fun, it's also challenging. Not only do you need to tune the station correctly, you also need to match the speed of your equipment with the sending rate of the station on the air. 45 bauds is common on worldwide bands. Common, huh? I mean, don't know how much people are using that anymore. And that's called a station terminal. There we go, here's one. I'm going to cover the answer key here. To protect against electrical shock hazards, what should you connect the chassis of each piece of equipment to? I mean, really? Isolated shock mounts, the antenna, a good ground connection, and a circuit breaker. It's obviously a ground connection. Answer is C, and yes, C, there you go. I mean, I remember getting my technician class. It was really easy. Yeah, like a lot of common sense stuff, right? I mean, I think I had to learn the different lengths of the bands and stuff like that, but what does an SWR meter reading of 5 to 1 indicate? I'm going to cover the answer here. The antenna will make a 10-watt signal as strong as a 50-watt signal. Maximum power is being delivered to the antenna. An unacceptable mismatch is indicated, or a very desirable impedance match has been attained. All right, well, I can't really remember SWR meters, like how to use them and stuff. I never really got into that. I'm going to say that this is a mismatch. An unacceptable mismatch is indicated. Yes, C. At 5 to 1, your rig is sure to temporarily shut down on transmit, probably a shorted coaxial connector. Something is really wrong. Like I said, like the stuff that was in there is, I guess if you know electronics and stuff a little bit, it's kind of, self-explanatory. Anyhow, okay. This was what Chris was sending me originally here, and this is Kapton tape, and it's real Kapton tape. All the stuff that I have is like what I call Krapton, which is that fake stuff you get from China, and it's just really not good. Let's see if I can peel some of this off. This stuff is amazing, and I think it's quite costly as well. And there it is. Okay, yeah, right away I notice. Okay, I don't have my scissors here. Let's cut this with a knife. Okay, so like one of the things I noticed right off the bat, this is way stickier than that fake stuff that I have. Like really, really much stickier. It's also much more flexible. It's like thinner and flexible. The stuff I have, you try to tape it onto things, like say I tried to tape it onto this knife here and go around the edge like this. Like it's actually staying on there properly. The cheap stuff, on the other hand, like immediately starts coming off. It's just not, it's not good. And I have a couple different rolls of the stuff I got from China. It's very inexpensive, but the problem is it's like inconsistent quality. Some is better than others, and this just feels really sticky. It's nice and thin. It's very flexible. Yeah, that's really good. Awesome. All right, and these are the T1 wicks that he talked about. And so a wick is an interface card. This is for like a Cisco 2900 series router or 1900 series. You plug these into the expansion card slots on the Cisco router, and then you can plug a T1 or E1 directly into this, which allows you to have like channelized voice or channelized data right on your router. Yeah, some decent components to practice removing and putting them back on, like these large PLCC chips or these smaller ones, and of course these packages here. And look, there's stuff on the back as well. And of course, these will be really well made with thick copper ground planes, multi-layer PCB. So yeah, definitely useful. And what was this board again? What did Chris say this was? He said this was some kind of an RF board. RF board from what, I wonder? There's the RF board. Wonder what that's from. But yeah, because this is an RF board, it's gonna have lots of thick ground planes on there. So it'll be really difficult to get components off easily. Let's see about getting this cover off here. There we go. Some adjustable coils, stuff like that, a couple ICs. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Nice. Okay, so practice boards. I luckily have a good amount of practice boards that are mostly through-hole, because that's sort of the stuff I work on, like old motherboards and things like that. But I do have old like 46 motherboards that are totally dead, and I don't just throw those away. I do keep those because occasionally I'll pull chips off of those, like even little surface mount things, like if it's a 74LS logic chip and it's on one of these boards and I need it, I will remove it. It's just really practicing on these larger footprint ICs, like this size PLCC. It's just not something I do very often. So it'll be good to fool around with those. Cool, so there we go. Thank you very much, Chris, for sending in this real Kapton tape. That's the star of the show for me. It's not the Krapton, it's the Kapton tape. Is it 3M who makes this? I can't remember. And this other stuff for fun. I will definitely be putting these FCC license books out probably in some different lending libraries around the neighborhood. So cool, thank you very much. Alrighty, and this will be the last package for this hodgepodge super mini mail call. This one comes from Aaron in Chino, California. Pretty hilarious. Fragile sticker there and there. And this one has a caution heavy sticker, 35 pounds and over. This package is not that heavy. Let me figure out how to open this. Looks like I can open it on the end here. All right, what's this? These look like bags. Bags with a hang hook built into them. You know, it's for like retail display, I guess. Or are these like IV bags? Wait, what are these? Okay, no, it's definitely not an IV bag because it's open on the bottom end. So that's interesting. It's like, this definitely looks like something you could hang the bag from, like an IV bag. But then, what's this bottom part here? All right, well, we definitely have a card here of some kind, and it looks like a little candy and some stuff. Let's see, a couple more of those bags. Well, let's go to the card first. I don't see a letter immediately.
Well, even though I didn't find a letter while I was opening the package, I actually found it afterwards. It was just inside the box. And here's a picture of the letter. It reads, "Adrian, here's the stuff I emailed you about. Sorry I couldn't send that Commodore with the severe water damage. To my surprise, it sold within a few hours of being listed on eBay, and I made a good chunk of change, but it probably would have been better if it had been featured on your channel. Oh well, maybe next time. I also included some candy, not so much. Keep up the hard work with the channel, Aaron." And as for the 64, he's mentioning, yeah, there was one, he sent pictures of it. It looked really damaged and rusted, so he thought it might be a fun machine to repair for the channel, but it turned out it actually was not meant to be. So no big deal. I seem to have a ton of other ones to fix.
All right, so here's the card, and it's in one of these bags. It's in two of these bags. Up here in the corner, it says Corvus Systems Transporter. Definitely has an ISA bus connector here. Has some rear slot connector, like 3-pin header. These are static RAM, 6116s, there's two of them. We have a Motorola 6854 here. Is this like a serial clock generator or something like that? We have another Motorola IC, the SC8580G. Not even sure what that is. And a whole smattering of TTL logic. Let's see what these are here. 75 175s. Interesting, we have a jumper there. Nothing on the back at all, just the traces.
I didn't realize it while shooting this video, but it turns out that this card is actually a Corvus transporter network card. Basically, this was like a AppleTalk style networking before AppleTalk was even a thing. And there were cards at least for the PC and the Apple II, maybe other systems as well. And it used a simple 3-pin connector, which you can see on the ISA card and on the Apple II card here, that allowed you to network these computers together. If anyone has any more info about this, definitely please let me know. I happen to have these 2 cards.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Wonder if this is part of it. We have an Iomega Rev disk, 35 gigs? What is this? I'm not even familiar with the Rev is. Did LGR do a video on this? This is like obviously a little removable hard drive platter type drive. Wow, 35 gigs? That's some substantial size. I wonder what year this was. Mac and PC compatible. Let's see if there's anything inside the box here. A label that you can stick on the disc here. That's not stuck on. And some very fine print in English, German, and French about the warranty coverage. And here we go, copyright 2006, Iomega Corporation. Wow. All right, well, there you go. It's the Rev system. Oh, there's another label there, just for the end. This is definitely, oh no, that's not a label, that's just a card for the box. The labels are in there. So yeah, you would flip this around like so, and I guess put it in like that. So when it's closed, you could write on the spine here and you can write there so you can see what this is. All right, let's see what this is. This is the final thing. Hey, we got some ICs here. Nice. All right, so we have 2 AMI BIOS chips. One is from an ISA machine, one's from an ESA machine, 92 and 93. And then all of this is static RAM. These are 256K by 8-bit static RAMs, 20 nanoseconds for those. These are all 15 nanoseconds, and these are 20s. Now, if you watched my Southwest Technical PC products video, I made a homemade RAM expansion, a 32K one, and I used one of these chips. It was a 64K version, but it was a static RAM chip just like this. That probably would have been off like an early 46 board. These were very typically used as cache memory on later 46s. Those machines are 32 bits wide, and since these chips are 8-bit each, you need to use at least 4 of these at a time, and these are 256K each, so I guess this would be a total of 1 megabyte of cache. I don't really remember having that much cache memory on 46s, but maybe that was the case. It's weird how my memory is a little bit foggy on that. All right, let's see what we got here. I think this is some candy potentially. It is indeed candy. I am not familiar with this. This is the Pico, and it looks like it's a little like sticky thing that you would suck on and I guess dip it in this granulated sugar. Oh yeah, okay, it says Guadalajara on here, so this is Mexican candy. And I gotta say, I've never tried this, so I'll be really curious to try those out. There's 3 of those, that's cool. And then we have these lollipops here. It looks like there are 3 of them. And interesting is on one side, it's solid, but on the back side, this kind of looks like a little granulated sugar or chocolate or something going on in there. So that's kind of interesting. And these things here, the Pelon Mini. So these are Spanish language as well. So I'm assuming these come from Mexico or Latin America somewhere. Oh, but it does say it's made by the Hershey Corporation. So I guess they're American. It has the flavor of tamarindo, so like tamarind. That's something that, yeah, is very common in Mexico. I've had drinks with that flavoring, and it's really quite good. So there we have it. Thanks, Aaron, for sending in this stuff. The Rev cartridge, 35 gigabytes. I have to go look these up. I honestly have never heard of these. I didn't know the Iomega was making such large cartridges, and they're so small. This is smaller than a zip disk. It's thicker than a zip disk, but smaller length and width than a zip disk. And the fact is, it's instead of 100 or 250 megabytes, 35 gigs. So yeah, obviously this is like a hard drive platter or platters in there. That's kind of cool. Cool, so thanks again, Aaron, for sending in this stuff, this Mexican candy and this board, RAM, and this cartridge. Yeah, kind of interesting stuff. And please, if you're watching and you recognize what some of this stuff is, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section on this stuff. All right, I know I said the previous package was gonna be the last one. Let's just do one more here. This one's from Bradley in Seattle, Washington, just up the road from me here in Portland. What goodies lurk within? We have a letter, so I'll just go right for that. Hi Adrian, so fun to see you working on the SWTPC, that's the Southwest Technical Products Corporation 6800 PCs. I picked up one of these myself recently and it's a neat piece of history. Mine came with several cards including RAM serial, parallel cards, and even a soundboard. Hey, I'm wondering if it was that soundboard that Paul sent in earlier. I'm sending you this SWTPC MP16, apparently designed and manufactured by Motorola. The memory card that I couldn't get working, but I didn't try too hard since my system already housed maxed out memory. It came to me just as it is with all the bodge wires and piggybacked chips. Unfortunately, I have not been able to find any good documentation, though there is some out there for the later revision, the MP16A. I also had to replace the motherboard standoffs on my 6800. I happen to find some of the correct type, and I've included a set for you if you feel like putting them back to OEM. That's right, the motherboard on my machine was sort of like pulling out of the board, so I ended up just using, if I recall, some like regular modern motherboard standoffs, the kind you screw in, and then I screwed a screw into them. I think that's what I used. I recently started messing around with the Apple II Plus. I haven't touched an Apple II since elementary school, but the info I absorbed from yours and other channels helped me easily do a few repairs it needed and upgrade it to the switchable basic ROMs. The only problem I've had with it now is that it didn't come with any cards at all, and I quickly found out that a language card and Dis2 controller card are pretty much a requirement for getting much further. I didn't feel like paying eBay prices for such basic cards, so I decided to design my own clone PCBs. That is freaking awesome. The language card is based off of the one made by IZ8DWF, that's Frank, my friend Frank, and I've included 2 SRAM chips to go with it. Oh, you sent one in the box? The Dis2 card is based on Apple's original design, but since it takes a much bigger EEPROMs, you can program it with multiple firmware revisions, e.g. the 13 sector and the 16 sector versions, and use jumpers or toggle switches to switch between them. That is awesome. Yes, the original Apple II, the Dis2 card, it uses PROMs, or programmable read-only memory. They're these little small chips that basically are very, very difficult to program now, and even find blank ones for that matter. EEPROMs pretty much took the place of those, but part of Wozniak's design, 1977, or whenever he made the disk drive, 1979 or whatever, was to use these little PROMs, and it just kept the card very small and very neat. But ultimately, if you use an EEPROM, then you can obviously put the firmware in a regular EEPROM and switch between, different ones by using a double-size EEPROM. Anyhow, Brad goes on to say, I saw that back in the 70s and 80s, Apple themselves used to sell Apple II proto board for hobbyists. I thought that was neat and made a miniature version with the same look and feel, also included here. Really cool. These are all fresh off the boat from the fabrication, so while I hope they work, I can't guarantee it. If you ever find it worthwhile to put them through their paces, I'd be thrilled. Brad, wow. Okay, let's check this out. All right, so we got a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's see, this is that RAM board. Let's take a look at this thing. So this is supposed to be a 16K RAM board for the Southwest Technical Products 6800 PC. Check that out. Wow. So these wonderful gold packages here. Look at these bodges. They go through that chip there. They're not soldered to it, they're soldered there. And I mean, look at this like dead bug here. Dead bug, wires everywhere. And yeah, look, it does say Motorola right here, Motorola Memory Systems. Wow, and there it is, Southwest Technical Products Corporation logo is on the board as well, MP16. The board that was released was the MP16A, and this just sure looks like a prototype or something. Now, if you take a look at the date codes on these ICs, we're talking 1977, everyone. So this is definitely an old board. Now, I'm gonna need to Google the part number of these ICs, but take a look over here. There's a jumper there for 32K and 16K. So there's a good chance that these are 16K by 1 bit each chips. So we have a total of 32K here. And the reason why you wouldn't have like full 64K, like with all of these banks full, is that the Southwest Technical PC, the memory map on that thing, and I explained this back in my videos, it really can only accommodate 48K total of memory space due to where the IO address space is and where the ROMs map into memory and stuff like that. You cannot have a full 64K, and it does not support bank switching or anything like that. So this would be the maximum configuration for the machine, from a stock perspective. What is happening here exactly? This is just absolutely wild. But on the back, there are no bodge wires. So that's kind of interesting, actually. I'm just looking at this dead bug chip here. It does look like it's actually attached to the one underneath it as well. And this one, sometimes they're not, and they're just stuck there. Oh yeah, that one is as well. So this one here is attached to the chip underneath. Sometimes it's just a place to put the chip. It's not anything to do with what's underneath it. Like you just need to stick it somewhere. But it looks like they have definitely integrated that into the chip below. Now there's a couple bodge wires here that look like they're factory installed in that they have like the proper glue and everything. But these white wires here, I don't know. Now I just realized I was calling these SRAM chips. These might be DRAM chips, and maybe, I mean, there's a lot of logic chips on here. It's a good chance that maybe this thing is actually generating some refresh on the board. The SWTPC machine itself does not support DRAM refresh like on the motherboard or anything like that. It's designed for static RAM. I'm trying to look up the part numbers of these memory chips here, and I am not finding them at all. Just nothing comes up here. I've taken a picture of the board because I can zoom up on this. Take a look at this insanity here. So the chips are all in the sockets correctly, but some of them have the writing upside down. Look at this. That one's upside down versus the rest of these. And they're all from 1977 here. So it was just that one that looked like it was in upside down, but why was it like that? So yeah, the part number looks like D08385W304, and that's what I Googled, and I did not initially find anything from a quick search. So anyways, that is gonna be an interesting future project to put this in the computer and see if I can get this actually working. It might be worth it just documenting what all these bodges are on here and then removing them all. Like maybe this alters the location in memory that this board exists in, or maybe this is for like bank switched memory. Like there's a way to actually have this coexist with another RAM board and bank switch it in, kind of like what the Apple II language card does. There is quite a possibility that that is what's going on here. And if I remove this, it will just become a normal MP16 memory card, or this 32K will just live at the bottom of memory on the machine. All right, let's take a look at the other stuff that's here. So, these are the standoffs that he said were for the motherboard on the machine. So yeah, I'll try to restore that back to stock when I have the machine out for testing this card and the sound card that Paul sent. Okay, let's take a look at these cards. These are his homemade designed disc controller, and yeah, wait, so there's the language card. So the difference here is that Frank's card, IZ8DWF, his uses all SMD parts, I think. He's like, Frank loves to work with SMD parts. This, of course, is all through hole. So I'm gonna have to ask Brad to let me know what these components are. I mean, I gotta say, I mentioned this before, if you're doing a PCB design like in KiCad or whatever, it's very little extra effort to literally just write the part number of the chip in each of these spots here. And like the component values for like, I mean, these are probably bypass caps, no big deal, and these are diodes. But, you know, that's a diode. I guess it's just a normal diode. So anyways, if there are any components that are specific, like resistors and stuff, just put the value. Like there's a resistor right there. Is that 10K, 4.7K? Like what is that exactly? And then right here is the replacement disk 2 card. It's so cool. Using normal EEPROMs. That is freaking awesome. So besides the two EEPROMs, which are, 2758 or 2716s, and there's like some jumpers up here, or are these connectors or switches? I don't know what these are. I have to find out. And then anyways, these are the two connectors for the ribbon cables. I think it's pretty much a clone. Like everything else is exactly the same. It's just the ROMs are different and these switches up here. So I'll have to figure that out. And then here is the proto board for the Apple II. So you would put your ICs along here, like in these rows. And of course, this is probably like ground, and that's probably a power plane right there, which of course is on the back side here. And then you can put your bypass caps across those because there's holes and stuff. So yeah, that's a pretty neat design. So what Brad did not mention is if he has these already uploaded to GitHub for anyone else to download the Gerbers to make, or the KiCad files as well. Brad included a couple SRAM chips that are for the language card. Oh, you may be wondering on the language card, notice there's no ribbon cable connector to the motherboard. Well, you don't need it because these are static RAM chips. And when you have SRAM chips, well, you don't need to worry about refresh. And that's the only reason why the Apple and Microsoft card goes to the motherboard. This thing here is completely standalone in slot 0, and it even has an EEPROM socket here for also, I think, having an alternative ROM. And that's very much like the original Apple II card, where you could have integer basic actually on a chip and AppleSoft on the motherboard, or vice versa. So that is it, Brad. I'm going to be emailing you about getting the schematics for these so I know how to build these up, because I absolutely want to build those up. And yeah, please do make these available for anyone else to download, because that's a great resource to have through-hole language card and a through-hole disk2 controller card that anyone can build easily and get that stuff working on their Apple II. Because like you said, eBay prices are getting stupid on these cards, and they're absolutely essential for an Apple II or an Apple II Plus, or even if you have an Apple IIe and you want to run a floppy EMU and you don't have a disk controller card or disk drive, something like this would work perfectly and get you booted up on your system. So yeah, Brad, thanks very much for sending this stuff in. I can't wait to dig into this memory board at a future time, of course, and I'll also try out these cards. And then this is really the end of the video here. So thank you everyone else for also sending in all this stuff. And I have it here in all these boxes. Paul sending in that sound card. Rich for sending in that fiberglass brush all the way from RS Electronics in the UK. And Chris for sending in the real Kapton tape. And Aaron for sending in this Corvus card here, and that interesting 35 gigabyte cartridge, and the candy, and yeah, so yeah, this is quite a hodgepodge of a super mini mail call, and it's probably been quite a long video. There will be a bunch of things I'll be working on at a future time in future videos, so watch for those at some point in the future. Unfortunately, I have a lot of projects to work on. I mean, it's so many, the generosity of my viewers is incredible. So many people sending in so many awesome things to look at. I have so many things from 2021 I haven't even shown on the channel yet, because they're just so cool and they deserve their own dedicated videos. And yeah, anyways. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks to my patrons. Their names are scrolling up the side of the screen, this side over here, I think. And yeah, that's gonna be that. So stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you next time. Bye.